the case of Mongolia for the women herders, they have this role. They wake up early in the morning, they work till the night, till the sunset, and they are protecting the animals. They are guardians of the environment. They educate their children. They take care of the livelihoods, and they protect, at the end, the traditional nomadic lifestyle of Mongolia.
Hello everyone, welcome to UNICEF Mongolia podcast. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Ms. Matilda Dimovska, UNDP resident representative in Mongolia. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Many thanks for inviting me. Glad to be in UNICEF.
Let's start at the very beginning, your personal story. Where did you grow up and what inspired you to join in development sector? And eventually, how did your journey lead to UNDP?
Good morning, Beno. So it's first many thanks for inviting me and this question. In fact, I am Macedonian. I come from a small country with a big history. Does it sound familiar? It was a country that went a very dynamic transition, as many in that part of the world, in Balkans, Southeast Europe. Went over a serious, significant economic, political transition. So I witnessed that. I lived with that transition from one to another system and how the blocks of the living are shifting. So that from the very beginning and that my childhood, or when I was younger, brought me this thinking of how these systems work and how the connectedness with the political, economic, the social aspects of life and make the country move. I studied by education, I'm an economist. My master's is in economy and development. So I was trained basically about how sound economic thinking can contribute to better development outcomes for a country. That was what I was studying. But I started my career in the private sector, and then I moved to the public sector, and then to the development sector, to the UN. And I think this, what shaped me was that combination of the experience in different sectors that gave me the unique perspective of how the development works and how different perspectives come together. And that was why I really loved the mandate, the vision, the broader perspective that the UN gave to me, and in a way that I can deploy my ability to support. First it was the development of my country, and then I moved to a number of countries, and I have engaged into a number of areas, being it a poverty reduction, being a social inclusion. At some specific times, it was very important as well, a part of the work, and even now, democratic governance and climate action. So that was how my development evolved and how my career was brought me here in Mongolia.
You've had such a dynamic journey. So with everything you've experienced, what is it that makes you get up every morning excited about this work? And what keeps you motivated?
You know, I love my job. So I love working I think that it's a unique opportunity, and I say to all my colleagues that we have to value the opportunity that we are given to contribute to a development. It's really one of the best professions that I could have had, I think, careers to contribute meaningfully to the development of a country, and to Mongolia particularly. So whether it is a building of a resilience to climate change, access to the services, better digital knowledge, strengthening the governance, these are the things that matter. And that makes me very motivated, that I wake up and I go to the office, and that opportunity that I am given in my life to contribute to a broader, meaningfully to a broader development. And what inspires many things, but at the end, the mandate that we have is, and the ultimate beneficiaries are the people. And when I meet people, being it here in UB, the students, they approach me, or when I go to the field in the herders, or civil society. When I was in Arhangai, I think that I was meeting the resilience, the determination, and the goodwill of Mongolian people. That is something that is rather inspiring, and that makes me wake up in a very good mood every day.
Yeah, it's such a privilege, right? We will come back to that question later. Now let's shift our conversation a bit to the politics. In Mongolia, our recent election, we saw that 25% of women elected members were women. So I'm interested in to know what's your outlook for the next election. What do you think will be the women's participation in the parliament, and also what UNDP's how they are playing a role in helping advancing women's participation and leadership in Mongolia?
Yes, that's a subject of our strong interest, strong attention, and we are so much pleased with the fact that Mongolia did very well when it comes to the women's political participation during the last parliamentary election. It was great. I think the summary of the photo of the women, 25.3% of women being elected and standing there in the all colors in front of the parliament. It was one of the most impressive photos, I think, and we are very honored, UNDP, that we have been supporting that process. It did not come overnight. It came with a lot of advocacy, a lot of work, a lot of kind of a mentorship of the women, the networks of them, solidarity between them. But it was a joint effort. Political parties were there, I think. It was commendable to see that. Government institutions and the women themselves that stepped forward. So that was a confirmation that change is not only possible, but it's also achievable. So that was a great step. Now, looking forward, of course, it would have been equally good if the local level elections came with a similar results, or at least at par, which was not all probably the case. It was less. But looking ahead for the next parliamentary elections, we are rather optimistic. The quota for the gender quota is 40%. We hope it will be kept, and it will be even overcome, so that we go to that some of the political parties may wish now to go for equal representation. We will be asking that or suggesting that, of course, because at the end representation matters, because we have so much globally evidence that when women lead, that the societies benefit and the policies are more inclusive and more efficient in that.
Speaking about women's leadership, it seems like when women lead the change, the things move more smoothly or inclusively. What's your take on that?
Yes, I think we have a lot of evidences globally and in Mongolia that confirm the statement. The more inclusiveness, the more community-based, more inclusive and sustainable solutions come. So therefore, the other day I was speaking to the women leaders, the women herders. In fact, they are going to have their congress very soon, so they invited me to speak. And I was stressing, particularly in the case of Mongolia, for the women herders, they have this role. They wake up early in the morning, they work till the night, till the sunset, and they are protecting the animals. They are guardians of the environment. They educate their children. They take care of the livelihoods, and they protect, at the end, the traditional nomadic lifestyle of Mongolia. So it's really extremely important that they also be part of the decision-making process, and they take part into. It's very logical to expect that a policy that is affecting the land or the livelihood of the herders without the involvement of those that directly are affected by that policy, meaning the women, will not be so effective. So it's about efficiency of the policies. In fact, not only the inclusiveness, but about the efficiency of the policies. So yes, I think we do have globally and in Mongolia a lot of evidence that matters. The women's participation in the policies matters.
Mm-hmm. UNDP and UNICEF Mongolia have a strong partnership in Mongolia. So I'm interested in to know about joint project or collaboration that you are particularly proud of. How our efforts together are changing lives of children and families in Mongolia.
Working together with the UN agencies is about coherence and about impact. And only together we can do that. And therefore we have been so privileged to work with UNICEF on a number of issues in the past, and now at the moment we are working on 2 joint programs. The topics are very relevant. It is about the access, equity, opportunities for communities across the country, and particularly the groups, as of course the children and marginalized population. And when it comes to the topics of digitalization and energy transition. Now, in the digitalization, together we are working on improving the access to public services through digital tools throughout the country for children and for marginalized groups, while on the topic of energy transition, making sure that the transition is not only green, but that it is also just, and that it affects positively all groups, including the children and marginalized groups throughout the country. It's about, and that is to make it even more concrete, about addressing some of the very important burning issues for every citizen, but in UB, for example, air pollution, that disproportionately, of course, affects the children as well. So we are very proud that we work and we have this privilege of working with UNICEF on these topics together, because as I've said, it is we come when we combine our efforts, we come with the integrated solutions for the development, and that's what we are aiming and about. And to finish on this question, we do hope that there will be many other topics on which we will combine our efforts and resources, and at the moment we are working on one of that.
Of course, yeah. In the beginning of our conversation, we briefly talked about your experience traveling around Mongolia. So I'm interested in to know more about this, your experience. I've seen you've traveled across Mongolia. I'm sure you met so many diverse people. So is there any particular moment that stayed with you, maybe with the child, family, or community leader?
Yes, of course. So I traveled, but not enough, and I am very sorry about that. I think that is one of the most important aspects of our work. Because when we travel, we understand much better and we do better work. Now, can I say 2? Give you 2 examples. The first encounter I had was with the nature of Mongolia. My colleagues said that very early in my arrival in Mongolia, they organized for me to go to some camp somewhere outside of UB. Very close, but still outside. And then the day was very packed, and I was so much absorbed with my thinking and the office and what are my tasks and what works well or not. So I was very in that mood. And then all of a sudden, I did not notice, but we exit the city and we enter into the nature of Mongolia, the space.
Directly.
And then at that stage, and I was talking a lot before, at that stage I just kept silent. I was just taken back. And that was the most beautiful. And then I realized what we are talking about when we speak about the sky. And that was the time when I met Mongolia and when I fall in love with Mongolia. That was, I keep saying that to my colleague, that they gave me such a present at that time. The other was an encounter that I will always treasure very much, and it's so touchy it was for me. During the Zut last year, I traveled to Kohoft, and at some point I ended up with a small goat in my arms. And it was, and I'm always uneasy from my childhood. I was uneasy with the animals, you know, so I was always running out of the animals. But somehow, in the setting, whether it was the warmth of the girls, the family, the herders around me, what was the setting, but somehow I just stood with the goat in my arms, and that was the moment when I understood the connection of Mongolian people with the animals and why it's so strong, and why we treasure that as well, and how essential it is for what Mongolia is. And I loved it, of course. So I will always remember that connection, and the connection with the nature and with the animals, which is at the core, at the essence of Mongolia, but also in the essence of what we are supposed to do. And it was for me a reminder what that development matters and what the development is in Mongolia supposed to do, and that's my work.
Those are very precious and beautiful stories.
Very powerful for me. It was extremely powerful.
Thank you for sharing that. As a woman leading one of the major UN agencies in Mongolia, you are a powerful role model for many young children, girls, and people. So what would be your one piece of advice, especially to younger girls who maybe are not very confident to pursue a career in development?
Well, thank you for the kind words. You know, and I'm sure that many told you already on these questions, women, they say it's not straightforward. It does not come easy. Being a woman and to advance professionally, it's not so straightforward. One needs to navigate the very subtle biases to work twice hard to get your voice heard, and that comes with a toll, right? And the toll is usually the private life or the family life. So that is one very important thing. And of course, as a secondary advice, that would be try to keep the balance, because yes, the balance is extremely important, professional but also the personal side, and it's very personal advice that I have had experience. But to respond directly to the question, I think what matters the most is the self-confidence. Trust in yourself. Say it. Be confident and speak loud and with the confidence, and learn, of course. Learn, educate, be professional, be the best in your class. But also have the confidence and stamina to say the things. The rest comes. And in the development world, these are the things, or the area of development. These are the things that matters as well, and therefore it is extremely important. That is my advice.
I myself is very empowered by this speech, so thank you for saying that to the girls who are watching our show. Finally, before we wrap up, is there any closing statement or messages that you would like our listeners to stay with?
Well, because I represent United Nations Development Program, so I think it's important to say the key point that came from the Human Development Report, global one that we have launched here in Mongolia last week or so, which pointed one message, that the human development globally and also including in Mongolia is the progress of the human development, the pace of it is lowering. It is moving positively, but still it's slower than what was expected. And that's not good. In the case of Mongolia, because of the COVID pandemic impact, because of still lack of economic diversification, persistent inequalities, the human development is progressing, but not as fast as it can. So the point is that the world is changing, and the approach to the development and to use of different tools, different trends that we have globally are important. And what is one of the very capital developments in the world is the artificial intelligence. And as any other country, also Mongolia will have to, and is already reflecting of how to make the AI, artificial intelligence works for its development, be a public good for its own people. And there are a number of areas on which we analysis already points that investments are needed, like in the infrastructure, into the data processing, and also skills development, understanding the skills, the databases, but also the skills to use those. So I think that is something that will occupy a lot of the development and everyone, impact everyone's lives, and as much as we are prepared and able to make advantage for the benefit of the development from the artificial intelligence, it will be important. This is a topic, of course, of UNDP's thinking and engagement, and I hope that we will do that together with UNICEF.
Thank you. Thank you for making time for us today. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you.
Likewise, Barla.
Barla.